Hey Tom, this is Paul here. This video is for you, and these are the carburetors that are in your bike. You can tell it must be true because there's a giant hole in the middle of your bike where your carbs used to be. Okay, I have been through the bike electrically, and I found a few things up at the front that were pinched. We talked about that over the phone. Found some loose terminals at the battery. Found some issues with the coils. I also wanted to point out that these are your spark plugs. And don't they look delicious? Terrible. Talking a little bit about these spark plugs. These are iridium plugs, so they're a little on the pricey side. But I wanted to comment on these particularly, not only because they're completely terribly destroyed, but moreover, I'm going to zoom in here real close. You can see that none of these spark plugs were installed properly. One of the ways that we can tell is this is called a crush washer right here. It kind of looks like two pieces, but it's actually one piece rolled over, and this little folded edge that the tip is touching is what would be compressed. And normally, if a spark plug has been installed properly, this crush washer would be flat enough, so flat and sharpened that that you would be able to tell that it's been compressed, like so sharp that you could probably shave with it, but it's kind of hard to tell because these ones were never really installed properly. The other way that we know that these spark plugs were not installed is down here by the electrode. Oops, sorry, my hand is so shaky. Down here by the electrode side, you can clearly see where the spark plug carbon has been detonated down here where the tip is, and that explosion travels up the threads and has been making its way out into atmosphere, and it's consistent on all of them. This one was probably installed the best, this one the worst, this one not so good, and this one not much better than this one. But nonetheless, none of the crush washers have been crushed on these spark plugs, and as a result, you are having some ignition issues and some combustion issues with these spark plugs that were installed incorrectly. I mean, really softly, barely even wrist tight to get them out of there. Okay, so moving back to your carburetors. This is, I think, going to be the answer to why your bike is doing that stall out thing. Even though I've corrected a bunch of things, the issue still seems to present itself. This is the intake venturi of your carbs. So my fingers represent the air, and that air would flow inside the carb where it would pick some gasoline, and then on the other side of the carburetor where the engine would normally be would be the combustion side. So this is a flat slide right here. I'll push this up and it springs back down. And all four of them are the same. But more specifically, I'm going to use this air gun, and I apologize for the loud noise of air. But I'm going to show you the differences of how those slides open, where they open, and where they don't. So you'd imagine that it would open up, but it doesn't. Even if you get in really close, like I'm right inside now, ooh, don't fall over. Still doesn't go in there. But if you go to the top venturi up here, see that? And that's the same on all your, right? They all do that just as they're supposed to. Whoops. There you go. Okay, so what's been happening, quite literally, is your air filters have been blocking that passageway. I've modified these, but I modified this side, and this side is still stock, and I'm going to show you the difference, but I haven't wiped these clean yet. But you see this hard rubber edge right here that goes around? Well, if you take that hard rubber edge and you push it on top of the carb intake venturi, you can see that that hard edge would literally block that venturi, right? So if you take this and you turn it up like that, you quite literally block it. Maybe not 100%, but a good percentage of it would be blocked, and it's a very, very small opening, that part there, right? So what I've done is, this is the top and this is the bottom, right? So when it goes on, it would sit like this. You can tell because the K and N is in there correctly. So I'm just going to turn this right around like this, and you will see that what I've done is I've ground away at your air box, or at these air pods, so that there's actual clearance for the air to get through to that top venturi. So again, this will go on like that, right? So that the air can actually still flow through here. Because what I think is happening is, quite literally, when you come to a stop, you're actually stopping what airflow that can get through there by this hard edge. Whoops. By that hard edge, which is now no more. Now on the stock one here that I have not modified yet, you can see that a hard edge is still present all the way around. So if I were to put this one on, again, this one's right side up, you can clearly see that hard edge on the intake boot will block that venturi there and therefore stop the carburetors from doing what they're supposed to do. So I'm going to modify these two to match these two, put the carbs back on the bike, run it, and hopefully problem solved. Wish me luck.